First of all, great to be here. Thanks to Cafemutual and Prem and his team for inviting me again on stage. I remember coming to the stage many times in the past, but extremely pleased to be amongst you in what looks like a packed room today. Also very pleased and would like to congratulate Cafemutual for having taken the agenda forward as far as the distribution business in India is concerned, and creating a national platform for all of you, which used to be mutual funds till one time expanded to beyond mutual funds into alternatives. I've seen them do events across the country, of course, but outside of the country. And then passives now, which is a large growing component of this overall market, has a lot of relevance. I wouldn't say has been perhaps paid the same attention in the past by distributors for reasons, some of which are known to us, some of which are not known. And when I was asked to come to this conference, I decided to just speak extempore rather than get a deck. Of course, I could have shown you a lot of numbers, there are a lot of trend lines, a lot of gold nugget kind of takeaways, but I'll restrict myself to just 4 or 5 or maybe 6 key things which you might consider relevant for your business as we dive deep into this topic. And as you know, every year we have these publications on women, on millennials, on Gen Z, on B30. We will be bringing out something on passive, so you can see and read a lot more content in the coming months from what we publish. But broadly, I'm sure all of you are aware that our mutual fund market, our domestic mutual fund market, has been growing assets at the rate of 20% every year. Name anything else that you know which has grown 20%? When countries grow GDP by 6 or 7%, it is considered a great occurrence. 8% is thought of completely outstanding. When car companies have double-digit growth, when FMCG companies have double-digit growth, all of that is considered fantastic. But our mutual fund assets have been growing 20%. And the most remarkable thing is that in the last 1 year, when we've heard stories about sustained less participation of foreign investors, everything that has happened in the geopolitical arena, despite all of that, the MF assets, domestic MF assets as an aggregate, have grown 21%. So the last 1 year, which is FY 26, April 25 to March 26, has been as good or better than what the 10 years running in the past were. So do not think this was a bad year. Some of the asset mixes changed, some of the focus areas have changed. And I don't know how much of that you are noticing, because you need to look at data all the time. But that's the first thing that I want to tell you, that from an asset growth perspective, we're not in a bad marketplace at all. We are in a great marketplace. How was this 20% happening in the past? How did last year's 50 lakh crore become 60 lakh crore this year and went to 72 the next year? The 20 was broken into 2 parts. 20 is equal to A plus B. One was just mark-to-market gains. You advised one of your consumers, they have bought, let's say, 10 lakh worth of equity. The 10 lakh has grown to 11.6 or 11.7. That's 16% going up. So the 20% asset growth was mostly 11 to 12% coming from mark-to-market growth. Why? Because equity assets will grow 13, 14, 15%. Fixed income will grow 6, 7, 8%. The blend was 12%. And the balance 8% came from sales. All the sale that you are doing. Net sales. Gross sale minus redemptions minus switches. So that is how the 20 continued to happen over the last 10 years. Great job done by you. Great job done by the fund managers. The fund managers making the 12% happen. You're making the 8% happen. And all of that happened. Last year was better, despite the fact that the 12% mark-to-market did not happen. So last year, the role of sales or the role of purchase was a lot bigger than the traditional 8%. And the remarkable thing is that in the last 1 year, while assets have grown 21%, normal MF assets, the role of passives, the growth of passives is 34%. One remarkable year, you can argue, you heard from the panel that there are Anirudh said there are 400 indices, there are literally hundreds and hundreds, several hundreds of products. All of that is available. It did not happen yesterday. All of that has been available for a long period of time. But one thing kind of bugged the trend, which was the role of gold and silver ETFs. The gold and silver ETFs became 3x their size in 1 year. 3x the size in 1 year. And I know a lot of people and a lot of families, Delhi where I grew up, where people who only invested in gold and silver and land all their lives, they have not moved to equity yet. You can argue that only 6 crore people have moved. The balance in India have not moved. They also started buying gold and silver ETFs. They've also started buying gold and silver ETFs because any family which bought physical gold and physical silver especially because it is so bulky, people will run out of the capability of managing it in any reasonable fashion. So gold and silver ETFs, and I wanted to mention this, are opening up one opportunity window for you for selling to those people who have never bought equity, which is our product, which is the MF Industries traditional core base product. All those families who've not bought it, I'm sure you know some in your neighborhood, some in your social circles, some in your extended contact list. Please look at this, because one more year of rally, and if what has happened in the last 2, 3, 4 days can be called a rally in silver, one more rally, you may again find that the role of gold and silver ETFs may be very pronounced this year again, because of course the year has just started, but it may happen again. And what is the point in losing that opportunity? I know the argument against ETFs, against these products has always been that they are traditionally less remunerative. That's one. And secondly, they are not as logically constructed. There's no fund managers, there's no research. So is this just catching a momentum? What do I do, or what does my client do if the momentum goes away for the next 5 years or the next 10 years? Those are good questions. Nobody's asking you to start allocating 100% or 50% or 40% to passives, but this is about making a start. I'm not a fund manager, so I don't want to pontificate on fund management techniques, but I'm just telling you what data says. I can only tell you what the world is doing around us, and missing out on that could be an opportunity missed by all of you. So do keep that in mind. The second thing, when I was looking at data, I saw that almost 70 to 80% of new entrants into ETFs are the Gen Z and the millennials. The younger people, who I can argue have not been a traditional buyer class for a long time. A buyer class is retired, close to retirement, early 50s, late 40s kind of person who has something to spare. But today you know that mutual fund accounts are being opened by kids in college. That whole thing about being in the first year employment and making your first payroll, that's gone away completely. Kids in college, in hostel, whose parents are funding them 3,000 to 4,000 rupees outside of their mess money, let's say pocket money, daily expenses, etc. A lot of MF accounts are coming from there. They will, of course, never be remunerative in that time period. In the 4 years of hostel, they will never give you a corpus, which is worth speaking about. In the first 3, 4 years of employment, starting salaries are never that big. So it will be tougher to capture them. But if 80% of new ETF investors are Gen Z and millennials, then what should we do? We have no option but to start accessing them. We must access them. I think when I read stories written by fund managers, written by great asset allocators, written by people who do research, it becomes obvious that people believe that index funds are a momentum product. All of us are believers in traditional products. So am I. I'm myself a believer. My personal portfolio, about 85-90% is still in active products. My own viewpoint is that in the last 2 years, when the indices fell, active fund managers, the smarter ones, managed to let only 50 or 60% of the fall affect me. The balance 40% of the fall did not affect me because he was doing smart allocation. He was holding cash, or he was timing the entry, which obviously an index fund or an ETF cannot do. They are meant to mirror the market. You've read enough theory that putting more money into an index fund also means that that index inflates. So you put more money and it inflates more. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm sure that all of you have been in business for long enough to have studied allocation, to have managed allocation, and to know where to make a start. I can only tell you whatever I'm seeing around me, that making a start with smaller investors, younger people, I don't know how many of you speak to college students. I know traditionally MFTs have never done that. But the time has come to start thinking about all of these. How do we make a start? Vishal and Sid obviously represent two great fund management, asset management firms. They said, make a start with the investor, think about his capabilities and what he has, and then continue to expand the allocation. As far as CAMS is concerned, and I would just give you one example of how we are helping this entire industry through technology. When an index fund gets money, so imagine that a typical AMC has a pool account. It is a pool account in which all the money is coming. It's not coming by scheme. All the money comes into one particular pool. Traditionally, till index funds became important and became vital, it was okay for us, and I remember I've still not completed 10 years in CAMS and 10 years in this industry, that we used to give 2 fund utilization reports to the fund manager. The fund manager needs to know whether he is buying or he is selling. He does not know himself. So the RTA, the CAMS team is watching. We've seen all the redemptions which came in on T day, for which T+1, the settlement will happen today. We've seen all the switches which have come in. We've seen all the fresh monies because we are looking at the bank accounts in real times. Like you know, today, most of the banks are giving banking APIs. So we can see any balance that you push in, we can see right now. But we used to give traditionally only 2 or 3 fund utilization reports. The first was 11:30, the second was at 1:30, the third I think was at around 3 o'clock. And the fund manager saw it, and then he had to take a decision whether he's 100 crore plus, whether he wants to invest or he has to invest. So we would tell him, look, you've got 100 crore rupees, go buy. Or whether he was 100 crore negative and he had to sell. But when index funds came in, the requirement for this information is not 3 times in a day. It's no more 3 times in a day. The requirement for this information is every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. Because there's this concept of tracking error. You've got to track the index. And if index today, in the last 4 or 5 days, the indexes have fluctuated by 1%, 1.5%, 2% in a day, which index fund manager or index fund house would like to have a 2% tracking error or 1% tracking error? So we built that technology entirely so that with most of the banks, we are connected through banking APIs. So you pushed in on somebody's website, let's say 1 lakh rupees in an index fund, it comes and sits in the pool account. I may have 5 lakh transactions inside that pool account today. So I have to isolate which are the index fund transactions. So we isolate them. We test whether the credit is real or not. We try to allocate that money to a trade. The trade obviously comes separately, it's not inside the bank account. And then we give this entire, if you can please put your phones on silent. Then we give the allocation to the fund manager. So the fund manager, if he's trying to mirror the index every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, if he wants to do the last investment at 3 o'clock, he is able to do all of that. Nothing kind of switches to the next day. And that's the role of technology. This will keep getting better and better. Of course, so far, every clearing corporation and every payment gateway has not been able to develop all of this. But slowly they will all develop. But I'm just trying to tell you one of the things which run in the background. This is one of those things which run in the background. I would also like to add that, like we've stated in the past, the role of women and women investors. You know that women investors, their importance, and I'm talking of independent career, salary making or business revenue women, not a pan inside a family. Most of the time they win a pan inside a family where some money was put in her name and somebody else was taking a decision. That thing is continuing to grow. So far, I don't think I want to present any overweight evidence that women are buying more passives. They are not. Right now, there is no evidence. The Gen Zs are, the millennials are, the younger people, the do-it-yourself investor is, the college student is, the first, second, third salary, the first year salaried guy is. But women are of increasing importance to all of you. Their participation is growing much faster than the rest of the market. And therefore, I think I came to this conference maybe 3 years or 4 years back. And that was the time when CAMS had released the first women's study. The study is available on the website. Please go and take a look. We refresh it every year. So it's just getting refreshed next week. Do take a look. And in your sales strategy, if And I know that independent women will be difficult to find if you are in Firozabad or Kanpur or Aligarh or Madurai. But in the larger cities, of course, the number of entrepreneurs, the number of employed, skilled people, that has grown significantly. Right now, I'm not connecting women with passives, but who knows? Next year, when we're having the same discussion, we may find that they are becoming a focus group. So, in my experience in the last 10 years, when I came in, SIPs, etc., were beginning to happen. The momentum was big. The new folio creation was big. And I think in the last 4 or 5 years, with the advent of the cheap cell phone, the cheap second-hand cell phone, with the advent of cheap internet packs, proliferation of information, YouTube videos, all of that, the profile of the investor is changing. The profile of the products that he is buying is changing. And therefore, old hacks are old hacks. A lot of times we've done the old hacks or we've done the old things. I will strongly encourage you and recommend to you, of course, we are available at any time. Any one of you needs any assistance or help, of course, platforms like Cafemutual, your AMCs are all available. But these are emerging classes. You cannot ignore them. You will ignore them only at your peril. So kindly don't ignore them. Don't worry too much about commissioning, etc. Like I said in the first product class, traditional families buying gold and silver are now buying gold ETFs. Can they buy an equity ETF after that? Can they buy actively managed equity? It will take 5 years. It will take 5 years. It will not happen in 5 months, that all of us know. But that is the way to go forward. Very happy to be back at this conference. Compliments again to Prem and thanks to him. That's all that I really had. I had the choice of bringing a large PowerPoint and showing you 20 or 30 pieces of incisive data, perhaps for another time. But that's really what I came with. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time and attention.